Welcome, everyone. We'll give you a moment to get connected to audio. Okay, it looks like everyone's getting joined in this evening. We'll give you a few moments to get settled, get connected to audio. We are recording, so if you would like to turn off your video, we understand. We hope we'll see lots of questions and comments in the chat, though. Thanks so much to my team who's here helping me monitor the chat. So again, if you have any questions, post those there, and we will, make this about you and what you need for our Family Cyber Safety Night. I think everybody is joined and connected. So hi, everyone. We are so excited to be with you tonight for Family Cyber Safety Night. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Kendra.
And we know that in our world today, we are using digital devices constantly. We're using our phones, the internet, our laptops. And so it's really important that we stay safe. We're so glad you joined us to talk more about what that means in these scenarios that we deal with every day. It's all about how to protect yourself online. So our goal for you tonight is to know more about cyber safety and thinking about 4 different topics and why they matter. Then we're going to end with you creating a plan as a family to increase your cyber safety.
There are going to be 5 activities in this Family Cyber Night Safety. So the first activity is going to be passwords, personally identifiable information, encryption, phishing, and at the end, we're going to talk about a family cyber safety plan.
So this is just a little sneak peek of the topics that we're going to do together this evening. But before we dive in and get started, we want to know where you're coming from. So we have a little short poll, just a couple questions to ask you at the beginning. So that poll is going to pop up on your screen. And if you would just answer those 2 questions and then click submit. Okay, so answer that poll for us, and then we're going to go right on in and dive into our first topic. Okay, so we're going to close out that poll once we've got some responses. And our first topic is passwords. Now, we know passwords are really important, right? We hear about passwords all the time, and we use them almost every day. But do we really follow the cybersecurity practices of making strong passwords? So Kendra, do you have any games, accounts, devices that require passwords?
I do have an email account or even my phone.
Absolutely. So things we use all the time, like my phone, I have to type in a code to get into my phone. So let's talk more about passwords and how to make them strong. So again, first, we need to know what is a password. So we know that this is a safety tool that keeps anyone else from getting onto my device. So it's protecting my information.
So what are some ways that you use passwords? How secure are your passwords? And do you think that someone could guess your passwords?
Oh, those are some really good things to think about, right? We definitely don't want anyone to be able to guess our passwords. And so these are important questions we're going to kind of talk through this evening. So why do we use passwords? And if we're using them every day, we want them to be strong so that no one else can get into our accounts or can guess them. We definitely don't want anyone to be able to log in as us. So let's take a look at this little situation and see what this video says about passwords.
When you leave your house to go on a trip, you might notice your parents lock it up with a key. This is to make sure that your house is safe while you are away. Computers, Wi-Fi, your phone, and gaming accounts need to be kept safe and locked too. Computers and other devices are kept safe using something known as authentication. Authentication is a way in which the computer asks who you are and, if you answer correctly, lets you use it. The most common type of authentication used in a computer, account, or device is a password. A password is usually a secret word or set of words that you share with the computer. This is your key to unlock the device or account. A password needs to be hard to guess, but easy to remember. Let's look at some tips for making good passwords. Use different passwords on different accounts. Use the highest number of characters allowed if possible. A good password length is usually 8 characters. Longer passwords are more secure. Use a mix of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols to create your password. An example will be using the @ symbol instead of the letter A. Reset your password every few months. Like house keys, it's important that you keep your password safe and secure. Do not share your passwords with anyone.
So the video talked about how a key is a physical way to lock your home. So a password is like a lock on your computer. We're going to let you test out your own ideas for passwords in just a minute, but I want to talk you through a little bit before you get started yourself, this password strength tester that we have. So at cyber.org, we've created a password tester that's going to let you kind of explore a little bit. So we're going to open our website in just a minute, and there's a white box where you can click right here, type in an idea for a password. So let's just do an example. What if my password was 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh, so it turned red and it shows week and 0 seconds. So definitely not a good password that I would ever want to use. This means that my computer, a hacker could basically guess it immediately. So Kendra, what are some things I should do to make this password better?
You could add letters.
Okay, let's add some random letters, not like a word, but let's just, again, we're gonna add some random letters here.
What about a special character?
Okay, let's type in a symbol. Oh, it turned yellow. So it shows moderate and 115 days. That's a little better, right? So again, we want you to look at this password strength tester online. We're going to drop the link in the chat and give you some time to talk with your family about what would make a strong password. So we're going to drop that link in the chat, and you can go to that website right there on cyber.org. Okay, so we'll give you some time to talk with your family about this and think about what you might want to do to make your password stronger. Now, this is going to open up in a new tab. So when you click on the link, it'll open up in a new tab, but you'll still be able to hear us in the background. So explore and discuss, talk with your family what you think. Now, also remember, don't ever type in a real password here. So again, good cybersecurity practice here. Even though we're trying to test and see what makes a good password, don't ever type a real password in online on some type of a tester. So make up some ideas with your family, see what you can come up with. So we'll call you back in a minute, but explore and talk. What are some things as you're testing that you're noticing? So some suggestions that Kendra gave me, you may have your own ideas. And as you're working, you can think about some things like this.
What kind of words make good passwords? What kind of words make bad passwords? And can you come up with examples of each?
So type in the chat, if you're starting to think about passwords and what's making strong passwords, feel free to let us know what you're noticing. Again, don't type a real password, but so you had suggested maybe add some letters. What are those things that are going to make up a good password?
Maybe a mixture of lowercase and uppercase letters.
Definitely try that out, see what you're thinking. So the password tester is a really great, fun way to kind of explore some of those ideas in a safe environment. because we know that people are trying to guess passwords. So we want to make sure that they're strong. And cyber criminals try to crack passwords in a few different ways. One is a dictionary or a word list. So they try common words out of the dictionary. A brute force attack is when they try one after another. So they're just trying to do every combination out there, trial and error, until they figure it out and they're able to guess it. So thinking about that, what are some tips for having strong passwords?
One tip would be to never share your password with anyone else. And always don't reuse the same passwords over and over. Use a unique password for each account that you have. Make sure that your passwords are long enough, more than 8 characters. Make sure you mix it up, uppercase, lowercase, special characters.
Right. And I bet that if you had a mix of upper, lowercase, numbers, and symbols, and then you made a long password in that test your strength website, I bet you got it to turn green. So we had red for weak passwords. And some of you probably, hopefully got it to turn yellow, and we're making some moderate passwords. Give me a thumbs up in the reactions tab or a green check mark if you were able to get the password tester to turn green in your web browser. And you can always test that out later too.
And please change your passwords immediately if you think that you have been hacked.
Definitely. So that's, again, some tips for making those strong passwords. Good. We've got some green, some thumbs up. So it looks like some of you were able to kind of figure out what makes a good password. So remembering these tips will really help you to make sure your password is secure. Now, we know we don't want to write them down, right? And so we want to make sure we can remember our passwords. And so sometimes we may just need to use a password manager. If you're not able to remember and you have to write it down, there's several out there like Bitwarden, LastPass, and Keeper. But what's even more important if you're going to use a password manager is to make sure that the password for your manager is very secure, is very long, and that you're able to remember that one. So things to think about. Some people are able to remember, but some people want to use that manager and be able to have all of their accounts in one place and just sign in there. So this is an interesting list. So this is an example of words that are commonly used as passwords. So scammers, I'm sure, are going to definitely look at this list when they're trying to guess. So we definitely want to make sure we don't use any of these words that are on the list. Do you see a password that looks a little funny to you? I definitely do. I'm reading the list and there's some funny ones. Type in the chat if you see one that you just think is funny. I know for me, I'm like, let me in. That's again, it makes sense to use that as a password, but it's definitely not secure.
I love you.
So it's good to remember that these are the ones most commonly used. Password, again, typed in the chat that some of the most common ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have you ever used one of these passwords before? And if you have, that's okay. That's why you're here tonight, right? We're here to learn and to make sure that we're becoming even more cyber secure. So which one do you think is most interesting? I just saw monkey.
Oh, they said a password in the chat.
Superman, QWERTY. Okay, some
Yes.
keyboard fans out there. Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
So again, you see a lot of words on here like dragon. That would be dictionary words.
Mhm.
So we want to make them more complex and add symbols or characters. Number 15, let's see on the list, someone likes, so instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4, they added some letters in there. So kind of just fun to think about, and just to make sure that we know it's important to have that strong and secure password so that no one else can get into our accounts. So my coworker and I went on a work trip a while back, and she was helping her son with his homework. And while they were on this call together, she noticed the background of his room. What do you see? Do you notice anything in his room? Do you notice something important? No, not the dirty soccer cleats on the bed. But in his background, I see, do you see what he did there? His password is showing on the video screen. He wrote it down. So you can see it's a pretty secure password, right? It has uppercase and lowercase, numbers, but it was so secure that it was hard for him to remember. So he wrote it down. And so it's really important to remember you can have the most secure password, but if you keep them lying around somewhere where someone can see it, then it's no longer secure. So again, as students, we want to make sure that if we have a password for school, that we don't write it in our binder, because then if you lose the binder, then someone could pick that up and now they have your password. So again, just making sure that we're having strong passwords and that we're making sure that we keep them secure and we don't just leave them lying around. So we talked about passwords and not having things, lying around in the background that someone could see our password. But what else about us should we share online or not share online? Our next topic is personally identifiable information, because we want you to stay safe online. And a big part of that is not letting strangers know who you are or where you're located. So let's learn some tips about what not to tell people online.
Some things that you definitely should not share online and are full name, your telephone number, your address, gender, age.
Absolutely. Those are things we call personally identifiable information, or PII. And that's a really long word, but really all it means is things that tell someone about you that would identify you maybe out of a crowd. So again, your home address, that would tell someone exactly where I am. So those are the things I definitely don't want to share online. So then what can I share online? Gosh, I want to be able to talk and, have chats and things like that. So I could tell them my favorite food, right?
Yeah.
Like if I like ice cream, that's not going to be able to really tell anyone anything about me or be able to identify me. What else can I tell people online?
You can tell them where you live, what country specifically.
Right. So again, knowing that I'm in the United States coming to you right now, probably you wouldn't be able to pinpoint where I was if I shared my country or a hobby, right? So if I like baseball or if I like a certain sport, I can share that, or, music or a favorite band or things like that. But we definitely don't want to share things that would identify us, like our full name, our date of birth, our home address, and for sure, never your social security number.
Yes, identity theft is at its highest.
Very true. So these are important things to make sure that you're not sharing online. So let's look for some PII in this room. So look at the picture on your screen. Can you find some items in the photo that would give away personal information? So look at that photo. First, I think this person has a lot of fun. I see a light bright, I see some roller skates, but do the roller skates really tell me who it is? No. But is there anything in the room that would? What do you notice? If you see something, type it in the chat. See what you see. We're going to zoom in the room in a moment and maybe see some of those identifying pieces of information. What do you notice, Kendra?
Well, first I noticed a backpack with a name on it.
That's right. So a backpack. Oh, there's a bill on the bed. Okay, or maybe a piece of mail that would probably have an address on it. Yeah, that's definitely PII.
That looks like that might be a last name on that jersey.
I do. I think I see two names. So I see one on the backpack. So let's kind of zoom in and let's see what else. The school shirt. Absolutely. And some mail. So what about the trophy? Have you ever thought of that before? A trophy might have your name on it.
Absolutely. And your school name.
Maybe a school name of where the trophy was won. A sport, and maybe a jersey number, which is on the back of that jersey. And then look next to the piece of mail. I see a binder. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. What do you think about that binder? Is that going to have PII on it? It looks like it to me, right? So I see, yeah, the binder has a school, maybe a school mascot, and it probably has the person's name on it somewhere in it. And then I see a shirt that has the school name and mascot. So again, these are all things to think about, especially when we zoom in on that backpack. What else do you see?
That looks like a bus tag.
Sure does. So again, thinking about a bus tag might even have a home address, the bus number that you're getting on to go home from school, the grade level that you're in. So actually a lot of PII on the backpack. Yeah. So we want you to take a moment and think about the PII in your house. So get up out of your chairs and go look around your house. See if you can find some items that include personally identifiable information. There's probably a lot if you think about your whole house.
Yes.
So we're going to give you a minute here and let you get up and look around, see what you can find, and maybe even how much PII you have lying around your house. Or if you're at work still, you may have some things there too. Did you check your kitchen yet? Maybe there's something on the table.
And don't forget about that front door.
Oh, that's true. With wreaths and welcome signs and even, right, school signs that we have out that we're proud of.
Absolutely. Those yard signs.
Yard signs might give away a lot of PII.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering if anyone's bedroom is like the one in the picture with lots of PII. Okay, so once you found a few items, come on back. And if you found something interesting, you can type that in the chat. Let us know what you found in your house that had PII somewhere on it.
Yeah.
And so we know that this is your home, right? So at your house, you're going to have a lot of personally identifiable information because it's a place that you lock up, right? And so it's okay to have that personally identifiable information there. And when we're talking to people online, most people are wonderful, but some are not. And so we don't welcome strangers into our house. And so we want to make sure that when we go online, we treat people like a stranger there too. So you can have that PII, at your home, but we don't want to give that out online. Things like, magazines that might have your address on it or mail or things like that. Thanks for sharing all those different places and things that you found. Magazines are a big one that we don't think about, right? You may even throw that away, but it still has your information on it. So let's look at a couple other kids. So looking at these students who maybe joined a call and looking at their background. So again, we don't welcome strangers into our house, right? But now so often, it's fine to have those items in your homes, but if we're going to post a picture or a video online or on social media, then we really need to pay attention to the PII that's in our background. So looking at the front, the very top one in the left corner, do you see anything in that picture that might give away something about that student?
I see a few things, Brittany.
I do. I see a picture of a cute little dog, and we always love to talk about our pets and our fur babies. But I also see that the dog, it says Scooby, which makes me wonder. Now, I would never try to, guess someone's password or log in as them, but it does make me wonder, is Scooby part of his password? And so that's what a lot of cyber criminals are trying to do. They're trying to find information about you in order to get into your account and be able to order, using your credit card information or something like that. And so looking at a few more of these. So I see something like a picture or a name in someone's background. What about the student next to him? So I see a calendar.
Looks like a family calendar.
It does look like a family calendar. So it probably has the monthly schedule on it, right? And I definitely don't want everyone to know when my family's going on vacation or when I wouldn't be home. So, what about the bottom two pictures? What do we notice? Is there anything you spot in those two pictures? So in that picture, it's kind of a little blurry and I can't necessarily see the calendar. But again, that might be something that I want to not have in the background of a video. Maybe there's a birthday on there, right? And then they might know my birthday and try to guess my password that way. So the student on the bottom right, so this girl, I think she likes music, right? I can probably tell that about her. But can I tell anything specific? Not really. So she has kind of a record back there. And so I think she's got some good music taste. But other than that, I can't figure out any really identifiable things about her. And so those are the things we want to make sure, a name, a birthday, a pet's name, or something like that isn't in the background whenever we join these calls. So as a family, it's really important to open up your call, maybe even before it begins, make sure your background is good, or use a virtual background. Do you have some fun virtual backgrounds that you've chosen? Yeah. So you can even join a call from the beach and your background looks like it's covering up anything that might be behind you. So again, we welcome people into our homes through pictures, through videos, and social media posts. So it's really important before you take a picture or post something online, think about your background. And if it does show something like your house, then you can even just scratch out that number, maybe a house number, an address, before you post the picture online. All just things to think about of things that we don't want to share. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down as we share some of these personally identifiable information that do we want to share this online or not? What are your thoughts? What about mail? Nope, exactly. So we definitely don't want to ever share that address, even unknowingly if it's in a bunch of papers. What else?
What about the bus tag, which will show where you live and where also the bus that you ride?
Yeah, I think that one's a no too, right? We definitely don't want to. What about that report card? So again, you can post something that says, I made an A on a test, thumbs down. Yes, report cards have a lot of personal information on them, like our student number, our school that we go to. Some of them even have our class schedule.
Yeah. What about the jersey or the team uniform that has the number, the school name perhaps on it? And on some jerseys in the higher education, they also have the names on the back.
That's an interesting one to think about. So a jersey. Okay, so I see some sad faces. We're not going to share that one. This one I could see where if you have a jersey that doesn't share anything about you, right? If it's just a general jersey, maybe a little mascot or something like that, that might be different. But if it has actual personal information like your last name, your actual number that you are on the team, we don't want to share that one online. Same for your school uniform, right, Kendra?
Yes, definitely. Those monograms. I love my monograms, but we have to be careful when we take pictures because your monogram often has your full name, first, middle, and last on there.
Or even
the
just your
initials.
initials. They
Yeah.
could try to, guess a password based on that. What about a binder? Okay, this one, interesting. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do we think about a binder? Okay, still saying no. You guys are definitely not going to be sharing personal information. A binder, I do feel like same thing. If it has your name on it, your homeroom name, your teacher, maybe even has your teacher's name on it. And so they know what's classroom you'd be in. That one has personally identifiable information on it, and we don't want to share that online versus like a binder you just bought at the store that doesn't actually have anything on it. That would be a different story. So again, some of these you have to think about what's on them. And same thing for the trophy or the ribbon. If it has your school name and your name on it, we don't want to share those online. So how do we make sure we're trying to be careful, right, about not sharing our personal information online? And when we do so much online these days, unfortunately, there are people. How do we make sure that people don't get that personal information when we're shopping and online banking? Well, those are examples of why encryption matters. So our next topic is encryption, and we're going to talk about what that means with this next fun activity. So thinking about encryption, have you ever written in code before? Secret messages? Have you changed or had some type of code that you've written? So encryption is this process that takes a normal message and encodes it or jumbles it up, right? So it can only be read by the person who knows the code, right? Or the key. So it's a really complex process on the computer today, but we're going to actually show you an example of a really simple way that this works. So you kind of have an idea of how it works on our computers. So this encryption method is called Pigpen. It's just one example, but no matter what kind of encryption you use, no matter what kind of cipher you use, what do you need to be able to solve it?
A key.
Right? So we have to have that key. And so on the screen, you see this key for Pigpen. So with Pigpen, instead of using letters of the alphabet, you form words with a bunch of different symbols. And so you can kind of see this key right here on the screen. It sort of looks like a tic-tac-toe, and then there's an X. And so I see the letters A through Z, but what would an actual message look like? So here's one example of a coded message. So it would kind of look like this. So what's the first thing you notice? Look at the message.
We can't read it.
We can't read it, right? So I know that it's not letters that I normally know that make up words, right? So like I mentioned, this is made up of symbols. And so each one of these is a symbol that represents a letter in our message. So in order to solve it, I need the key. And so let's look back at our key and try to figure it out. Having the key is the only way we can figure it out. So let's think about this first symbol right here. And let's kind of think aloud of what this first symbol might be. Can you kind of look at the key and see if you see something that looks similar? So this first symbol looks like this on that tic-tac-toe. So it kind of shows me that G and H is within that symbol. But how do I know if it's a G or an H?
Depends on if you have a dot.
There's a dot in it. Okay, and so for this one, if there is a dot, it means that the second letter is the letter that this symbol represents. If there's not a dot, let's see if you guys can figure it out. What letter would it be? So looking back up here, it's G or H. And so the dot is the H. And so G would be this symbol right here with no dot. Okay, makes sense? Good deal. So we've got people figuring out that it's H in the chat. Good job, guys. Okay, so then let's look back at our message. So we know that this first symbol represents the letter H. Okay, so this second symbol kind of looks like an L, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
But we now know that it's actually a symbol that's in our key. So we have to go find that. And let's look here. I see it here. And so it doesn't have a dot. So that tells me it's going to be the letter E. Okay, makes sense? All right, so we now know the first two letters in our message, and we're going to see if you can work with your families to figure out the rest of our encrypted message. But notice and think about your key right here, and you have both parts of the key. So see if you can solve this with your family.
And remember, the dot means that it's the second letter.
Exactly. Some of you got it really fast. You guys
Wow.
are expert encryptors. Awesome. Okay, so if you notice, we actually had a double symbol that might have helped him get it a little faster, because this symbol also matches this one. So we knew that the third and fourth letter were the same. And so then we just had to figure out this last one and probably figured it out quickly that our message is hello. So again, if you got hello, you're right. Awesome work. I did that quickly.
Very quickly.
And again, so this is the basics of Pigpen. So we're going to do another one that's a little bit harder. Okay, so it's a little bit longer. And so in this one, you're going to actually have to use both parts of the key. So pay attention to those symbols. You've seen these two before with the straight lines and those angles there, but this third one looks a little different. So I'm going to have to come over here and notice that that shape matches on the X side of my key. So take a minute and work with your family. See if you can figure out this message. But if you're really fast, don't type the answer in the chat quite yet.
And once again, don't forget that the dot means that it's the second letter. And it might be helpful to use a pencil and paper.
Yeah, at this point, it's good to go ahead and write it down when they're longer so you don't have to remember for those longer messages. All right, I love how some families are working together to solve this. Maybe you even figured out if I decode the first word, you can get the second part, working together. And I notice there's a question mark at the end. So again, we're going to have some kind of a question here. So when you do figure it out, don't type the message itself, but you can possibly type your answer to that question.
I'm excited to see the answers.
I know. Okay, so how's your encryption going? Were you able to get that letter? Do you want me to walk through it again?
If you need a little help, just put a thumbs up and we'll be more than happy to help you.
I know these take a little, the longer ones take a little longer, but maybe you noticed a few double letters, and so that makes it a little bit faster. Okay, so we're figured out, some people have figured out the question and they're typing some answers. Might be a little hint. The cool thing about Pigpen, because it's based on letters, once you figure out most of a word, you probably can kind of figure out the rest a little quicker. Okay, we'll give you a few more minutes to figure out the rest of it. And this is just a fun one. Again, Pigpen to send some secret messages and have some things, encrypted, leave some fun encrypted messages for people. Okay, so I think most of you have figured it out.
Oh,
Nice. Some of these are new. Like I'm like, oh, these are some really great new options for superheroes. So did you get best superhero? And again, that's how Pigpen works. So now we know, again, just the details about one of the encryption methods, but there's a lot of other ones out there that are a lot of fun. So maybe your superhero that you typed in the chat is a newer one, or maybe you like an old classic from a Marvel or a DC comic movie. Or maybe your superhero is a parent or a teacher. We love to hear and kind of see about what your favorites are. So that is the basics of Pigpen. And we now know this is sort of an example of how encryption works, but it's on a much bigger scale now. And it's all about not letting people see our messages that we were sending and that personal information. And so that's really why we encrypt in the first place. So let's kind of take a step back again and remember our why for this and think about your day. Think about your morning. How much did you do using the internet or an app or your cell phone? These days, right, we use our devices for everything: online banking, sending emails, work communication, talking with our teacher and getting files for homework, accessing our important accounts online. We need encryption for that private information to be kept safe. And so that sensitive data, like our parents' bank account, will be protected. For students, your gaming accounts, right? We don't want anyone to get in there and steal all our points or change our, our virtual backgrounds and things like that. So encryption stops messages from ending up in the wrong hands. Definitely downloading apps is another important one. I'm loving seeing comments in the chat about, again, when you purchase something online, that credit card information is going to be encrypted when you download that app. It's going to be saved so that basically, even if an unauthorized person gets access to it, they can't actually read it because it's this jumbled up message like we saw at the very beginning. So we're going to take a little pause here because we will have a few little reminders about the prizes we're going to be giving away after this event. So we've done 3 different topics so far. Is anyone out there excited about a possible Amazon gift card? I know I would be, right? We're talking about online shopping. So, hey, we thought it was perfect. You do have to be present to win. So make sure that your Zoom name matches your registration. And that way we know you're here tonight and you'll be entered for that door prize. So good luck to everyone on that. Got some people who are very excited in the chat about that. So we have done 3 activities. So you know about passwords, personally identifiable information, and encryption. So let's move on to the next one.
Some people try to find out our personal information, and we call this phishing.
So what does that really mean? So we've talked about personal information, and we know we're not going to actually give that out intentionally, but have you ever gotten an email that just makes you go, right? I'm not so sure about this one. We're talking about phishing with a PH, not phishing with a fishing pole. And phishing is how scammers try to get your personal information. So remember that PII we said we don't want to share? Well, that data is really valuable. They can try to get that information through an email or a text message sometimes too. Now, we all get these messages every day, right? Way too many, can be really annoying. Anybody else have a very full junk or spam folder in their inbox? Or maybe those random text messages that don't make quite much sense. So the problem isn't getting the messages. We know we all get them, but the important thing is to know how to respond safely and make sure that we're not giving away that information. So let's learn a little more. Let's look at this example. This is a text message from Netflix. Ask us to update our membership. There's a link. Links are pretty tricky, aren't they?
Yes.
As a general rule, we don't click on links, especially ones that look like this, right? Kind of a strange URL. It came through as a text. I know that if this was truly, Netflix, then I would just go straight to my Netflix account and check and see if my membership was about to expire. I wouldn't ever just click here. I know it's easy, right? It's convenient. I got a message. I can just click on the text, but convenient is not cyber safe at all.
No.
For this message, I even see a regular number, right? So I don't actually know who it's coming from. That seems kind of odd. So this should send up kind of a warning, right? That this could be phishing. And we call this red flags. So a red flag is this something that lets us know. It's a warning that sort of suggests there's a problem here. There's some kind of a threat. So these are all things to think about and be aware of so that we don't get tricked by clicking that link. So what we want to do is we've given you one example of one that would come through as a text message, and we're going to see if you can spot the phishing emails. So we're going to do a little short activity, and I'm going to show you how this activity is going to work, and we're going to walk through the first example together. So you're going to open up another browser. We're going to drop that link in the chat to go to this survey. So it's just 3 little example emails of a picture, and you can read the directions and then click OK. And then it's going to show you the very first email. And so on this email, what are some things I want to look for? Where are those red flags? The from and the to in this example email.
It says it's from iTunes, but that email address doesn't look like something from iTunes.
Music 123 cool.
No.
Looks a little fishy to me. And also that too, that's not my email. So we want you to look through these. There's 3 examples. So you'll scroll down after you look at the email and decide. And then once you've read it, you'll get a question. So should you trust it, do not trust it, or not sure? So click one of those answers and then continue on to email 2 and email 3. And then when you're done, you'll just click done and come back to the main screen. So we're going to give you a moment to talk about those with your family. We're going to drop that link in the chat for you to get to the survey so that you can go ahead and access those email pictures and let us know what you think. We're going to talk about them too when we come back. So be looking for those red flags. We might ask you to type those in the chat that you see a little bit later.
And remember, it's okay to click not sure if you're not sure about your answer.
Right. Some of these are hard to tell. So it's definitely okay if you have a hard time deciding. So we'll give you a moment to talk with your families about those next 2 emails. Okay, what are we thinking? Phishing or not phishing? To trust or not to trust? That's the question. And then once you're done and you've answered all 3, just click done and then come on back to the main screen.
Perfect. Thank you for letting us know that you're
Awesome.
done.
Okay, so let's look at these together. We'll get everybody back and see where those red flags were. So we kind of talked about this one a little bit already. And we said, the from and the to looked a little suspicious. What else about this email is maybe a problem?
The music 123 cool.
Absolutely. And then it says at the bottom, report the user. So it's asking us to verify if it's you. It says report the user, or there's another button that says, yes, it's me. But if I see 2 buttons, do I really know if either one of them is okay? I'm not going to click either one of those, right? And why not click? Well, the danger of clicking a phishing email is that it's going to take you to a fake website that these scammers are trying to get your information. So you may type in a username and a password, and then they have those credentials. So then the cyber attacker can access your login, hack into your account, or even lock your device, and then you can't get it into it yourself. So I would always verify elsewhere and go to my iTunes account. They're definitely trying to trick us here. The subject line, someone else is trying to log in when they're actually trying to get your information themselves. Yeah. So there's our red flags. Definitely, you guys spotted all of them.
Good job.
Okay, what about the second one? What did you guys say? Did we say it was phishing, or did we say it was you would trust this one?
Well, I know the first thing when I get an email is that I always check to see who it's from.
Yes. And if I look at this one, it says it's from Amazon, but look how long that email is. Looks suspicious to me for sure. And then who is it to?
Live at Microsoft.
That sounds like they may be trying to just send it to a bunch of people. And that's why we get so many of these types of messages, right? They're just
Absolutely.
sending it to a big group. But it does look pretty legit, right? There's an Amazon logo. I see a verify account button at the bottom. And of course, in this email, it makes me think if I get this in my inbox, oh no, my Amazon account is suspended, right? We're all shopping online more. And so it's something that we're concerned about. And we want that online shopping account to be safe and secure. So it looks better than the last, right?
Yeah, definitely. But when I'm looking at those main parts, I always want to see who is it from, who is it to, and I definitely see that it is not from Amazon.
Exactly. So I can see that it looks a little more official, right? But even with that verify button, it's easy for scammers to just grab those images that look really real. We've got really great graphic design and tools like that that make it easy to make it look very legit. So even though it looks professional, we know that we can't make a decision based on that. So just like that text message with an email, it's usually safe to just not click on the link at all. And so for this one, I see those red flags. I'm going to go directly to my Amazon account and know that that cyber criminal wants you to follow the link, because then if they get that data that you type in, they can actually turn around and sell that for a lot of money on the dark web.
Right. And I want my Amazon account safe, but I'm going to go to the Amazon site directly to my account just to make sure that everything is okay. And at this point, I would change my password just in case.
Absolutely. When you're ever in doubt, it's good to change that password. So that one was a phishing email. Let's look at this third one. So what did you decide here? Is it real? Did we trust it? So this next example is a OneDrive account. Let's look for those red flags. So the from and the to email, those look correct. I see two names. And as an employee of cyber.org, I can look at that and say, yes, I know those two people. That's how they spell their names. That this is their work email address. The subject line looks okay. And then it says it's shared. It was sent on this date. The dates match. Okay, so thinking through this, it's kind of hard to tell though, right? Is it a phishing scam or not? I might not be sure. So in order to click those documents, to get those documents, I would need to click the link. So to be sure it's not phishing, what should I do?
You could ask the people at work.
There you go. If it's a coworker, I'm going to think to myself, hey, let me just go ask that person if they sent me some message. Exactly. You guys got it in the chat. You're going to contact that coworker and just check. And then also a good thing to think about with all these accounts, with Netflix, with OneDrive, do you have an account with that, in that service? First of all, if you're a Google Classroom school, you probably shouldn't be getting OneDrive messages. But this one is good. And it's always good to just check with that person though, and make sure that they did send you something. So this one was a real email. And so it checks out. We got those green check marks. So to wrap up, I want to show you one more and see if you can decide now that we've looked through all of these, because this email gets our attention quickly, right?
Yes, definitely. $90.
Ooh, okay, $90 and prizes.
Yes.
There's a bonus $50 gift card. Man, seems a little too good to be true to me, right? So in this case, they're trying to hurry up and get our information to click really fast. So there's a lot of red flags here. And now I think you guys are experts on spotting those, because if something looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Definitely.
So did you know that 2020 was actually the highest number of cyber attacks for schools? So we moved to virtual learning. A lot of schools fell victim to these phishing scams. And it's a real big problem. Like I said, we're getting these messages all the time. And so these scammers know that they want to try to get that information from you and make some money through ransomware that can actually even bring down that whole school. So these are all things to just think about and be really smart when you're checking those emails and text. So what should we do to make sure if we do get those phishing emails that we respond well?
Well, if you get a phishing email, you should ask a parent for help, and the parent can delete the email for you. They can report the email as phishing, and they can block the account of the person who sent the email.
Absolutely. So some 5 tips to just think about so we know how to respond. And as we're thinking about all these different things when we get these emails, we want to make sure that we don't click whenever there's a site linked in an email, right? It's fast and it's easy to be able to just do that, but we want to verify elsewhere. Go straight to our account and log in there.
Yeah, that's definitely a good safety practice. And anytime that you have a question, you can always act to verify by calling a parent or a teacher and calling or actually checking the actual website or account.
Right. So we're going to check URLs. Sometimes just by hovering a link without clicking it, it'll show you the address of where it'll take you, and you can make sure that's actually where you want to go. So we want to avoid those clicking links, because that can cause something to download. So we talked about going to a fake website, but just by clicking a link, it can automatically download a file. And if that file contains virus or malware, then that's going to, not be good for your device. So we want to be really careful that that doesn't happen.
And make sure that you use different passwords for different accounts. With every account you have, you should use your school email password. So if your teacher has given you a password, do not use that password for anything else besides your school account.
Right. So with my personal accounts, I'm going to use a different password than my email account for my school, or for work. So we know it's convenient to have the same password, right? It's easy to remember. But if you have an issue, right, and someone gets that password for that one account, now they have access to all of your accounts, and we definitely don't want that. So come up with something that you can remember and use a separate password for each account you use. And then the last tip out there is use multi-factor authentication. So what that means is we have that now almost as an option everywhere, and it's using more than one factor, right, to get into your account. So it might not be quite as convenient, but it really adds that extra layer of security so that whenever you log in, you know that it's you. You always want to enable it because that way it's kind of like getting through two doors to get into your account. We know that a scammer won't have both pieces of information if you type in a password and then you have to also put in a code that maybe is text to you. So we have done our 4 big topics, and we hope you've learned some tips, and we want to now give you some time to think about what your family has learned and make a plan. So we have a planning sheet for you that we're going to drop into the chat, and we want you to think through these. Talk about, as a family, what are the things that you want to focus on and the things that are most important. So maybe as a family, if you thought, passwords, we really need to work on that, then you can really make that a priority and talk as a family how you're going to improve that. So we've got that in the chat there, and I'm going to open it on my screen so that you can see what it looks like. So the first page of it shows you the 3 kind of big main topics that we talked about, with passwords being the first one, personally identifiable information, and then at the end, thinking about phishing and how, our phones use encryption and things like that. So read over those questions with your family. We want to give you time now to talk through these. And then the other pages at the bottom kind of give you some more details to help you really take some action as a family. So if you picked passwords, then that next page says, okay, what accounts do I have that I'm using passwords for? Probably a lot, right? And then, so the first, thing to think about is, are they different?
Right.
And maybe are there some that I need to change that might not be so secure?
And if you're not sure, use our password tester, but don't use the real password. Just use a combination of the letters and special characters.
Right. So when you click in the chat and save that file to your computer, we won't be able to see it. So you can actually click here in the space and type in for your family what your plan is. So we're going to give you some time to kind of talk about that now.
Here.
Okay. I'm going to try that one more time and share it in the chat. So a lot of you are choosing passwords as a possible one. So a lot of you are choosing passwords as a one that you want to focus on first, and that is great. So you can go ahead and think through. You did get an email from Georgette at the, before this afternoon that had the Zoom link, and that file is also in that email. So you can download it from there as well. All right, so we definitely want to give you some time to talk through that, and whatever topic that you chose, know that you can come back to this at any point. So again, when you make a copy of that, you can, save it, put it on your fridge, right? Or come back to it later. Maybe in a month you say, oh, we got really better at this one topic, and you want to go ahead and tackle another topic and get better at all these different things and make sure that you're being really cyber secure. If you don't have any other questions in the chat about the plan, we'll definitely let you, you've got that file and you can, come back to it as much as you need to. And we love to hear your feedback as well. So we have a quick little question for you about what you've learned tonight so that we can see what you think about this event. And so we're going to launch a quick poll and see if our time together was helpful for you tonight. So if you would just answer those questions for us. And I've got an update right after this on the prizes, which I know you want to hear too. So go ahead and answer that poll for us. So we've talked about a lot tonight. I know.
We have talked.
And maybe we just made you realize again in thinking through that you have to work on that plan, right?
Absolutely.
And that's why you're here. So it's great. We're going to go ahead and let everybody answer that poll, and then I'll give you a quick update. We really appreciate those responses. And so thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our door prizes are going to be announced tomorrow through email. So be looking for a message to the lucky winners. So we will need, once you get that email, your mailing address so we can send you your gift card. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. I know we're excited to randomly.
5 winners.
Yes, so we were going to have some great door prizes there to send you that gift card. Like we said, we've talked a lot about shopping online. So. Yes. So thanks so much for being here. We hope that you've learned a few things and that you continue to talk about these topics with your family.
So make sure that you keep working on your plan. You can come back to it later to see if you've improved in one area, or you can choose a different topic to work on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Stay safe out there.